our topic, I want to discuss a post that I saw yesterday. A lady made a post and she was saying how she feels like even when you have a business, you have to perform in order to make money, and that it's a trap. And I don't agree with that. I feel like to a certain extent, especially if you have a 9 to 5, yes, you do have to perform, especially if it's in a field that you don't necessarily want to be in. But when you have your own business, if you are working in a business that aligns with you, you don't have to act. You can just be while providing the service that the people need. Because essentially, if you're an entrepreneur, you're solving a problem for somebody. And hopefully, you would choose to solve a problem that aligns with what's naturally one of your gifts anyway. So when you're doing that, I feel like you're not acting. Now, if you're doing a business that is not necessarily within your strengths or your natural gifts, then you do have to act. The money's going to come if you're solving a problem and you're reaching your target audience. But I don't agree. So drop in the chat. Let me know what you think. Do you feel like you have to perform in order to make money? I don't. Drop that in the comments. So yes, alignment. Before we get into the topic, I want to introduce you all to me. I am Aaliyah. I usually go live on TikTok and Instagram. I'm going to start going live at least once a week on Facebook as well, intentionally, either in nature or in my room where I have my little setup. I enjoy to record in nature because the energy's flowing free, and I just love to be outside. So I prefer to be outside when I'm recording. I'm a wellness practitioner. I assist my clients with unblocking subconscious blocks so that they can live in their power and step into their power fully and live in their highest selves and enjoy the life that they desire or that they were created to even live. Because we are souls having a physical experience. We're not these bodies. These are just our avatars. And oftentimes people need guidance when they're on that journey, because it can be really hard, especially when you don't have the information to assist you along that route. A lot of things come with that. One of those being honesty and obedience. Obedient to God, obedient to your higher self, obedient to the highest version of you. And when I say that, I mean making the choices that are in the word of the day alignment with your highest self, your God self. Before I get into how to know if you're out of alignment, I think that it's important that I actually define what alignment is. So alignment is when your emotions, your thoughts, and your actions are all in sync and they're agreeing with each other. Alignment is when your emotions, thoughts, and actions are in agreement. When they're not, when one of those things are not in agreement, you're out of whack. You're not in alignment and you're not moving through wholeness. Excuse me, confirmation burp. And I'm going to take it a step further and say alignment is also truly embodying your God self. Embodying your highest self, and that embodiment is moving in action while in alignment. So one of the main things that happen when you're out of alignment is sickness, physical sickness. So for example, when I was in the military, it is in lieu of Veterans Day, toward the end of my enlistment, I wasn't a guard, so I only had to go on post once a month for 2 days. And at this time, I was living in Kansas, so I had to drive 6 hours. I had to drive 6 hours from Kansas to Little Rock Air Force Base for drill. Let's put that gun out. And it got to the point to where I started feeling literally nauseous putting on my uniform. And I didn't know that in the time, that it was my body rejecting the service. It was my body rejecting what the military stood for and what I had to do when I was in the military. It didn't align with my soul mission, so I started to literally, physically get sick. And that is how I now know and understand that I'm out in alignment. In that moment, I thought, well, maybe it was something that I ate. You know, I wasn't correlating it to being out of alignment. And that sickness it doesn't have to show up physically. It can show up emotionally. It can show up through mental illness as well, like depression, anxiety. Depression is when you're thinking too much into the past. When it comes to anxiety, you're thinking too ahead into the future. You're not present. Another sign of being out of alignment is resistance. Resistance to your environment, resistance to the people around you, resistance to the tasks that you have to complete. Like, for example, this was probably like 2 years ago. I was about to buy a house, but it's like something kept happening. Something kept going wrong. We went to go look at the house. Some things were in order. We had to tape a lot of stuff. You know how when you, if you bought a home, you're familiar with the taping process, where you go through the house with some blue or yellow tape, and you put the tape on things that need to be fixed and maintained before you move into the house. A lot of tape, lots of tape. And then when we got our paperwork to sign everything, to finalize the loan, there were a lot of errors in the paperwork. The amount of money for the home was incorrect in the paperwork. And the loan officer was like, well, just go ahead and sign it and we'll fix that later. I told my ex-husband, I was like, this is a sign. We do not need to buy this house right now. Like, it's just not a good time. So those reoccurring situations of resistance were signs that we were out of alignment, that that was not the house for us, that we did not need to purchase that. And thank God I was listening enough to understand that this is out of alignment. We're not doing it. So we didn't buy the house. So that was the second thing to let you know when you're out of alignment. The third telltale sign to know when your thoughts, emotions, and your actions are not in alignment is when you are shrinking yourself. And when I say shrinking yourself, you're basically censoring yourself. You censor how you talk. You censor how you react. You censor how you communicate. And I'm not saying that you should be walking around saying everything that you think, but to a certain degree, that's just innately how you are. If you are not fully being yourself in a situation, not fully being yourself in a relationship, you're shrinking yourself to make yourself palatable for somebody else. And that's a telltale sign that you are not in alignment. So what that could look like is, say you and your friend, y'all hang out every Wednesday, and your friend's favorite thing to cook is chicken fajitas. Say you don't really like chicken fajitas, but because you want to keep the peace, you don't want to hurt your friend's feelings, you every Wednesday go over there and eat that chicken fajita. That is a sign of shrinking yourself, and that means that you're not in alignment, not necessarily with your friend, but with that meal that your friend is cooking every Wednesday. But because you don't want to rock the boat, you shrink yourself and you eat that chicken fajita every Wednesday. Why would you do that? And that, I think, also shrinking yourself goes hand in hand with being dishonest with self. A lot of times we catch ourselves in situations, relationships, environments, because we're not being honest with ourselves, because of the comfortability of it all. Not the comfortability of what's being carried out, but the comfortability of not speaking up for self, not doing what is best for you. It's essentially self-abandonment. You get so comfortable in shrinking that it's easier to do that than to do what is best for your highest self in the moment. Okay, so we just went over 3 telltale signs to know that you're out of alignment. And that's why it's important to be familiar with your energy, be familiar with yourself, and to know, hey y'all, hey Nadia, hey Aluna, hey Junior, hey Jaden, hey Melina, hey, I said everybody, and Ducey, hey everybody. I think I got everybody right. That's important. That is why it's important, to know yourself. And a large part of doing that is understanding and learning your birth charts. Y'all, drop in the chat if you know what this is. Your birth chart. Your birth chart essentially is your soul's blueprint. Your birth chart is a map to where all the planets and stars were the moment that you were born. And what it tells you is essentially your primal energy and flows, your patterns, your personality, your creativity levels, how you best show up at work, how you best show up in partnership, relationship, business. It tells you so much. So when you know, it's getting windy, guys. I think I'm gonna have to relocate. Alicia, did you tell everybody that I said hey? When you know your chart, you're more in tune with knowing thyself. And when you know yourself, you're able to work with your energy instead of against your energy. Because what happens was, when we were born here, when we were put here, we were in our rawest form. If you have little kids, you know what I'm talking about. Our kids, you don't have to teach your kids how to show their preferences, how to laugh, how to play, how to sing, how to dance. They innately know how to do those things. When we're born, we're in our rawest form because we're not programmed yet. So knowing your chart is like knowing your soul, your imprint, because we are beings that have a soul. We're not humans. We're souls having a physical experience, right? So your birth chart, as you can see here, let me pull it back out. This is an example of what your chart looks like. It's basically a pie split up into 12 different houses. This is you. This is your dot. You're this soul here in the middle. You're split into 12 different houses, like there's 12 different zodiacs, 12 different months of the year, really 13, but that's a whole nother lecture for another time. And each house identifies a certain part of you. So, for example, your first house is how you show up, how you take initiative. Your second house is your self-worth, how you relate to possessions, value, money. Your 9th house is travel, philosophy, growth. Your 11th house is your friend groups, your goals. Excuse me. And your 8th house is your shared energy, rebirth, and healing. So when you get familiar with what zodiacs land in what houses, you get to know your internal self more, and then it makes it easier for you to maneuver in this realm, aka the 3D planet Earth. But when you don't know, you're going to meet, confirmationally, a lot of resistance, which can cause you stress, shrinking, anxiety, depression. So if you are curious in learning about your soul's patterns, your energy's blueprints, I can assist you. You can easily, pull your own chart, but it's a matter of understanding it, analyzing it, interpreting it. That's where I come in as a wellness practitioner. Okay? If you want to learn about your energy patterns, you can book a session with me, DM me the word reset, and I can show you your house placements, any blockages, because each house is related to an energy center. We have 7 main energy centers in our body, which are related to a certain organ or part of our body as well. So I, based off of your chart, can tell you where you might experience blockages or blind spots, so you then know what you need to work on. So that way it'll become easier for you to flow through life without experiencing as much resistance as you probably are experiencing. So your birth chart analysis, it includes the analysis of your chart. I pull it, I print it, so you can do it in person if you're out of state, or if you're in state and you want to do it virtually, you can do it virtually. I will mail you all your documents. I'm old school, so I like to print it out and send it to my clients so you can have it in hand. You need to physically be able to touch it so you can go back and review it, take notes. You get a chakra blockage map, and you also get an alignment map with your charts. So if you want to book with me, DM me Reset. I'll respond. I will send you a link to the invoice. The investment is $222. Mind you, this is a transformative tool that you'll be able to use for the rest of your life. So you need to really take that into consideration. Your spiritual hygiene should be a priority. If your wellness and your health is important to you, this is a part of your wellness and your health. So I'm about to go grab me some free food. You know it's Veterans Day. Today we talked about how to know if you're out of alignment, shrinking yourself, resistance, and sickness. Physical sickness are all telltale signs that you're out of alignment, that you need to know and learn more about yourself so that you can get in alignment and move through things with ease. Now, nothing's ever going to be perfect, but you'll be able to flow like water as you should be. If you haven't already, be sure to follow me, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and DM me if you want to get your birth chart analysis along with your chakra blockage chart and your alignment map. All right, I have some spots left for this month. They are filling quickly, so be mindful. Take care of yourself. Love you guys. Bye.